Today we are joined by the one, the only, the metal god. His name is Rob Halford. He's the singer and vocalist of Judas Priest, one of the most renowned vocalists of all time. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, doing really good today. Thank you, Nathaniel. It's great to be with you today to talk about all things metal and beyond.
Yep, it's so great to have you with us. You guys are just about ready to kick off your Shield of Pain Tour 2025 here in North America. And of course, you will be here in Charlotte, North Carolina at the PNC Music Pavilion on Saturday, September 20th, here with Alice Cooper and Corrosion of Conformity. And such a stacked lineup. We're very much looking forward to it. What are the preparations for the tour like so far? What are the vibes like at this moment?
We're bringing over this great show that we just blasted through Europe with. It's called the Shield of Pain Tour because we're celebrating. We're focusing on the Painkiller album, which just passed a kind of a milestone, an anniversary, and that's such a beloved album in the Priest world. For ourselves as a band and especially for our fans. So to get these songs from Painkiller banging out against each other one after one after one in the first part of the set list is a really, really strong, potent moment. So yeah, we just taken care of the metal maniacs in Europe with that experience, and we can't wait to bring it over here to all of our friends as we come up to see you soon and launch the Shield of Pain tour with Alice and with the COC.
Awesome. Such a stacked lineup. And again, that's September 20th here in Charlotte at the PNC Music Pavilion. And obviously, you live in Arizona, but you guys just got done with your tour in the UK and Europe. And I'm wondering, what's it like when you go over there to play a show again in the UK for those fans, and where the band was founded? What's it like to experience that?
It's a great question because that's where I'm from. You know, I'm from Birmingham in the West Midlands, home of metal, Sabbath and Judas Priest. That's where we grew up together on the same mean streets of that part of the world at that particular time. It's a different place now. It's changed so much, but the raw, gritty part of Birmingham, the West Midlands, is still ingrained into me as a person, and went into the music. Those early records that Priest made were all from that location. So we have a long established solid foundation in the UK. And we played there just recently at the end of the European leg. We ran over to the UK. We did two shows, one in Scarborough, which is like a seaside holiday town on the upper east coast of England that I hadn't been to in living memory. So it was great to go back there. This great amphitheatre packed to the rafters. And then a day after at the famous O2 venue in London, which is a bit like Madison Square Gardens for the UK. And it's just a thrill, especially driving down the freeway. Driving down the freeway from Birmingham to London, I've done that so many times. And I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing things that I remember, and the memories are so profound. And I'm glad I've still got that internally to remind me of the work that Priest did right from the very beginning of this band in the early 70s. You pile into the van. We still get into the van, but we piled into the van with the gear. We were our own road crew, and we did what so many bands do now to lay down the roots of who you are and try and build a fan base, a following of fans that are so important, that give you the life and keep you going. So it was a thrill. I'm so happy that we were able to do those dates. Prior to that, we had done a full run of the UK for the Invincible Shield tour, but it was just nice to drop off the back end of the Shield of Pain tour in the homeland.
Awesome. It's great to get your insight on that. You mentioned Birmingham, you mentioned Black Sabbath, and obviously the world is still reeling from the loss of one of the most renowned singers of all time. Maybe you've heard of him, Ozzy Osbourne, a fellow Birmingham native like yourself. What was your reaction when you heard the passing of Ozzy, and how have you been reflecting on that and other losses we've had in 2025?
Shock and disbelief. It still hasn't really completely, it's the grief is like cleaning the soul. It's supposed to let you move on, but it hasn't let me move on yet. And I think I speak for millions of us when we say that it just seems so close to that beautiful celebration that Ozzy had in Birmingham at the Aston Villa football grounds with Sabbath, the original Sabbath with Bill back on drums. What a great kind of, it's not really a eulogy, but isn't that the greatest memory that we can have of him in that particular atmosphere with his fans, with his band, with Black Sabbath, an absolutely pinnacle of what this great man has given to us his entire life. So we have to celebrate. We have to celebrate. We have to listen to Ozzy. We have to listen to Sabbath. We have to look at him on whatever place we can look at him and relive the memories and enjoy and because Ozzy was always about giving you a good time. You know, he wanted to know, did you have a good time? That was the part of his reason for going out on stage, was to give people a great time. So all of that is just part of this incredible, indestructible legacy that Ozzy leaves us with.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was telling people too. It's a celebration of his life. We have so many great memories that we can have of Ozzy Osbourne, probably you even more yourself knowing him. And just looking back on the music and all these stories and everything, like he's gonna live on forever. So when he passed away, I was telling people it's more of a celebration of his life than anything, than to be mourning and sad about it. But obviously everybody grieves in their own way. And he's not the only loss we've had in the metal world this year. Obviously, we lost Judas Priest drummer Les Binks earlier in March. More recently, Brett Hines, the former guitarist of Mastodon, just passed away. So just always dealing with these tragedies in the metal and music community at large. So I'm wondering, as someone who's been in the business for 50 years, for such a long time, and made so many great albums, do you think about your own morality? What is your thought process when we lose giants like these and you're still out here surviving and kicking it? Like, what is the driving force to continue? And do you think about it? I mean, I know you're the metal god, right? But any thoughts about your morality or how you incorporate that into living every day?
I think it's perfectly natural, particularly at this place where I'm at in my life. I've still got so much to do as a musician. I love going on stage. I still love the whole tripping around the world. That's just part of who I am. I have to do that, you know. That's the reason I'm here. I don't want to let that go. I don't want it to ever end. And thank God I've got, still I can still squeak out a I can still scream out a song or two, and I can still do the work that I need to do with Priest. That I hope is a good time again for the fans that we have around the world. But it's perfectly normal and natural to consider your mortality, particularly like I said where I'm at now. But that's just fleeting with me. It's fleeting because I'm always thinking about the future. I live in the now, I live in the moment, I live in the present. But I think having plans and having dreams is good for the soul. Whether you get there is irrelevant. It's making the plans, it's the ideas. This band Priest has always been building on ideas and opportunities. So um, yeah, I think that's just the way that a lot of people uh, have this thought rattling around in their head, particularly when we lose the greats that we've lost recently, because it's tied to music, and music is an integral part of every human being's life on this planet. Doesn't matter who you are or what kind of music you listen to, you have music in your life. So when we lose these beautiful stars, it hits extra hard. And but as we've just said, what you do when we lose them is we show our gratitude for what they gave us and what they did for us respectively with their music. Some of it very very profound, and we celebrate and we remember, and that's the way we carry on with life.
Awesome. And you guys just celebrated the 50th anniversary of Judas Priest, and you went on a big tour earlier this decade and celebrated all of the different eras of the band. And I'm wondering, um, what are some of your favorite memories from, the different eras of the band? I mean, I'm sure in the early days you were struggling, living in a van, and then you get to the highest of highs in the 1980s, and you've lived into this legend status today. Like, what are your thoughts and what are some of your favorite memories that you like to look back on of Judas Priest?
Well, there's no doubt that the beginnings of what you do in your career as a musician, firstly, you never conceive that it's going to go on for as long as it has with Priest. It's an absolute joy and a blessing and an honor to still be able to do the work that we do. But um, at the time of when you're starting out, it is a real struggle. It's the simplest thing in the world to say I quit. Because once you quit, you got what do you got? You've got nothing. When you're dealing with challenges on a day-to-day basis, whether it's just existing as a band, trying to keep the band together, uh, trying to maintain that fragile chemistry, and then doing these shows up and down the country and barely having enough money to buy the gas, but you can't buy the food. All of these, all of these kind of sacrifices that you make are all part of the apprenticeship of growing as a band, growing to love and respect each other as musicians and trying to keep it together. It's so difficult to do in a band because every band is full of ego and temperament, and I include myself in those words. So um, those early days for me particularly are still vivid memories. And I would say, without a doubt, making that very first record, I can close my eyes and I can remember the whole sequence of events, sleeping in the van outside the studio because we couldn't afford the day rates. If you worked from dawn, if you worked from dusk till dawn, you paid 50% less for the studio. So we chose to do that and sleep in the van outside. Um, and then the following record, the groundbreaker for Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny, which turns 50 next year. That's an important part of who we are as people, and how it connects with our music. And there are other moments that push out a little bit more than others, like British Steel, for example, with Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight. Then we go to Screaming for Vengeance with another thing coming in Electric Eye. All these certain records tend to get a little bit more recognition than others, which is the way that music works. But it leaves a timeline. It leaves a 19 studio album timeline from Rock and Roller to Invincible Shield that is really, really something else. We are so proud to have this catalogue, this treasure trove of metal to look at and to choose as we put these set lists together that get increasingly, oh my God, what are we going to do this tour? But for us to bring the Shield of Pain tour is a really cool moment to reflect on the power of Painkiller and some of the other classics. So yeah, a little bit of everything. It all connects, but some ideas push out a little bit more than others.
Awesome. And I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know we only have a few minutes left to talk here, but I did want to get your insight. I know how much the community means in the metal world, particularly to you. You're always talking about how much it means. So I went to the internet and I pulled a bunch of Judas Priest fans and I wanted to get their thoughts and ask them any questions they've always really wanted to ask Rob Halford. So we're going to pull some questions here. The first one we have is about your song Rapid Fire. That's on the British Steel album, right? And this one person just simply put wants to know what is corrosive subsiding?
Oh, um, corrosive subsiding. Um, wow. Okay. I think what I'm trying to say with that track is um, it's like you're pushing up against everything, but you're breaking through, and you're reaching the place that you're aiming for. You're reaching the destiny or the idea that you're aiming for, and corrosive subsiding is just part of some of the elements that you have to um uh, bring on into the way that you deal with it. Corrosive subsiding. It's just a couple of words that seem to work together in a really cool way, and just obviously create a question, and that's really cool.
Really cool, really cool. And we know you're such a huge animal advocate. You're always posting pictures of cats and stuff. But do you have a favorite breed of dog, is what another person asks.
Favorite breed of dog? Well, I'm a animal lover. I'm a real big advocate for cats. I love cats. You know, heavy metal and cats. Um, I I'm an advocate for kitten rescue in Los Angeles, and here in Phoenix we have the Arizona Animal Welfare League, and I do what I can to kind of give recognition to those people. But I love dogs. You know, from a Chihuahua to go from a Chihuahua to a Rottweiler is just part of the joy of that particular kind of an animal. You know, they've all got so much character and personality, and I think it's a mood thing for me. Depending on the mood, I'll take a Chihuahua on the lap, and then you know, depending on where I am mentally, then maybe a Rottweiler would fit the bill. But they're all beautiful creatures.
Awesome. And I'm a huge cat person too, so definitely appreciate all the efforts you do with those organizations out there. Definitely appreciate it. And we need more people doing that in the community. We have another person who is asking, they point out that you've said in the past that you pray to God every day. And they're wondering, is that a specific religion? Is that more of a overarching spiritualist thing? Which God in particular that you're talking about is what this one person was wondering.
It's spirituality. I came to a point in my life that I talk about in my autobiography, Confess, where when you're an alcoholic and when you're a drug addict, you're left with a choice. You either kind of hand it all over to somebody greater than yourself, and then you start to work on a daily basis to maintain your sobriety, along with this spiritual connection that is really important. I've always been a person of faith, ever since I was a little kid. But when I became clean and sober 38, 39 years ago, that became really, really vital to me. It's part of my daily affirmations. I start the day with prayer and I end the day with prayer. And this imagery of how you choose a higher power is left entirely into your own hands. That's what I love about the work that we do in supporting each other on a day-to-day 24-hour cycle. That you know your spiritual object can be anything. If you want a physical, tangible object, it can be anything. For me, it's my heavy metal cactus by the swimming pool. That's just like a that's a I don't go in front of the cactus and pray, but when I look at it, that makes a connection for me, and that's just a really important part of my life on a day-to-day basis for every day of my maintaining my sobriety. I can't do it by myself. I know I have something that's there with me right now. There's a presence that's there with me, and um, I just love the idea of prayer. Some people kind of look at it and, well, what does it do? Well, try it. You know, what have you got to lose? Prayer and praying can bring beautiful peace to your life. It can work miracles. So that's just another facet of what keeps me in this balance and harmony. Whereas before I was very fractural and disjointed and disconnected and, you know, broken glass everywhere. Now I see much more clearly. My conscious stream is more fluid. There's nothing interrupting that from a substance or a chemical. The clarity is great for me as a creative person, and so all of that combined makes my day-to-day living a good thing to feel and to be a part of.
Awesome. And promise just a few more questions here. Just really have a lot of people who want to ask some things to you. In the past, there were some rumors about the Three Tremors project, which was originally yourself, Bruce Dickinson, Ronnie James Dio. Obviously, that later became yourself, Bruce Dickinson, and Jeff Tate of Queensryche. And we're just wondering, a lot of people have wondered over the years, what happened to that project and any hopes that it can blossom into something in the future.
It's a really spontaneous moment. My other half, Thomas, my husband, Thomas, he presented this idea decades ago. He said, "You ought to, you know." I look at what you do and Bruce and Ronnie. It would be great if you had like the three tenors, the classical three tenors. Would it be great if you had three metal rock singers and called it the three Tremors? You know. So I was with Rod Smallwood at the time. He was my manager for a time, Iron Maiden's manager, and I presented it to him that day. And Rod is this just this machine, this great machine of management. And he immediately went, "Let's do it. Let's go. I'll get a camera. Where's the photographer in house? You know." And I was there that day with Bruce was there in the building, and Jeff Tate was there in the building, and we did a quick photo shoot. And somewhere on the internet you'll find a picture of the three of us. So the idea was a really strong one, but much like everything else, uh, the way that our lives live and the contractual obligations, and we're all in different parts of the planet. It's a lot easier to do that now. This is before the internet and files and Pro Tools was established, and it's so easy to do stuff anywhere in the world. It was just too tricky to actually become a reality. But I still like the idea of it, and who knows? I never close the door on an idea, especially a good idea like that. I did have the opportunity to sing with Bruce on The One You Love to Hate from the Resurrection album, which was a joy to do. He's a good friend of mine. I've known Jeff forever. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a trio single one day.
Awesome. And a silly one from another person here. They're wondering who was your celebrity crush in the 1980s?
Oh, celebrity crush in the 80s. Um, Well, I just, whether it's a crush or a fanboy, I was always a massive fan of David Bowie. What David Bowie was doing in the 80s was extraordinary with his dance period, when he went to Australia and did all that stuff. And you look at what David has left us, these different characters, the Ziggy Stardust, who I actually saw. I saw the Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars show at a theatre in Wolverhampton, and I watched the whole show happen where he did the whole Ziggy performance, and then this Thin White Duke, and then the dance part of what he was doing, Let's Dance, and then further on the Tin Machine project, and then his final moments with us. Those final moments were so profound and beautiful and graceful and thought provoking, and he did everything that a true artist should do, which is to just be free to say and feel and express and look however you felt the music or the project was taking you. Not let anything hold you back, no inhibitions, complete freedom of expression with your music. So if ever there was a crush for me in the 80s, I would definitely include David Bowie in it.
Great. And lastly, just one more for you. A lot of people are wondering, any plans for retirement? Any plans for a next Judas Priest album? What's kind of the goal here for the remaining years of Judas Priest at this point?
It's a very natural question to ask for a band that's been around for over 50 years. But when I just the other day sent a nice birthday greeting to a fellow screamer by the name of Ian Gillan, who celebrated his 80th birthday. And he's like a maestro for me, what he did with his voice when I first heard the album that just had a big celebration made in Japan, or the Tokyo one. Um, and those early Purple albums I used to listen to with the band in the flat in Birmingham. Uh, there's that. Oh, look, he's 80. I'm a kid. I'm 74. I'll be 74 in a couple of days. I'm a kid. Uh, I just love that idea of reaching that number. Please God, let me get to 80 and still be screaming painkiller somewhere in the world.
Awesome. And I do know you have a birthday in a few days. So happy early birthday. I guess that's just about all the time we have right now. Really wish we could spend just the entire day just asking you questions. But again, Judas Priest is going to be here in Charlotte on September 20th at the PNC Music Pavilion. Be sure to check them out. Obviously, if you know anything about metal music, they're pioneers, one of the best bands ever. So Rob, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you so much for talking with us.
Been a great interview, Nathaniel. Thank you so much. To everybody that's been watching and listening, appreciate you sharing some time with us. Thank you for what you do for Priest and for Nathaniel, keeping that metal faith alive and the connectivity open. And we're looking forward to coming and banging some heads and raising some hell in a few days from now. And thank you for keeping the faith.